Okay, fáilte ras chun ganéil agus bliain nua bhatíomh go léir. So welcome back and a happy new year to all of you. Not much has changed here. Still hoping to do a bit of vintage. At the moment I'm stuck working on my car that has needs new pads and discs. In fairness, they've 130,000 kilometers done and the pads were fairly well worn and I was starting to bind a bit. And it needs another little bit of work, like the brake backing plate is et with rust. So I suppose all I'm going to say on that matter is these are definitely going to outlive this. In fact, they already have by many years. In other words, I should reword that. This is not going to live as long as they are, as they have already lived. Rust has got to this now. I'm only out here 3 years and fairly close to the sea. And rust has taken its toll all in around the back there, especially. It's completely through, so new ones are ordered. And another thing on that matter, VW make it a little bit harder to go working with your brakes, like so these bolts with the star head. I think it's called a triple square, because I thought I was good buying this pack, and I actually bought a pack like this, exact same pack for my dad, thinking I was great for Christmas present and all of that. But they only go to 12 on the M's, whereas likes of that bolt that's holding on the brake caliper carrier is 14. And you think you're great when you get a loan of a long one. The anti-roll bar gets in the way, so I had to go and literally buy a full set just to take them out and put them back in. And in the heel of the reel, this is your brake carrier. I thought I had to take that off to take the disc off, but it did come off the hub, twisted in there, so I didn't need to take it off at all. So thanks Volkswagen for confusing me. So I had to buy all them. But anyway, that's not really what we're interested in this channel. It's more so this kind of stuff is what we're interested in this channel. So I did a bit of buying eBay written Nullig. A bit of purchasing going on over Crimbo. And I do want to get I wanted to get a genuine set of Lucas points. I have fitted some in the tractor, and there's the box there, and they probably predate the tractor, so they're used and fairly worn. So I went on eBay and I got a set of 407050 Lucas points, and I plan to fit them and use the handy little Lucas key here. That is a screwdriver for taking off your points, and that's also a little around between 14 and 16 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge for setting your points. So without further ado, we'll do that. A little update on the down swept exhaust on this. The heat shield is on its way, and I was posting a little bit on some of the Ferguson enthusiast pages, like the Friends of Ferguson Heritage, and one member did say, as I also posted about the gold belly, I said, should this have the heat shield? Now I don't have it fitted obviously over there, so I can't literally point it out to you in the video, but it's basically just like a half circle kind of a tube that comes up a little bit, and it was designed on the 20 because the 20s, I think these were optional extra, these foot plates. So it was designed to keep the heat, you know, to shield the heat from your feet, because you only would have had foot pegs. So in the 20, excuse me, a standard, you'd only had these sticking out. This would have been an optional extra. So they did have it on them. But very interestingly, on this, I might just get the torch and come back and show you. Okay, so one of the members on the Heritage Defenders of Ferguson Heritage page put up a post, kind of in reply to my initial post, because I saw a photo of a fairly original Massey Ferguson 35 TVO with the Ferguson 20 style heat shield that come up over that, and he says originally from factory the heat shield was under the footplate. Now I do remember noticing that this footplate is a lot heavier and sturdier than the other one, and it was only yesterday evening I actually had a look So he said underneath the original ones, there was kind of a sheet of asbestos type material like brake lining, and there was a heavier plate underneath it. So if we look down here, there was a bit of repair work done on this, I think you can see there. But it's original. So that was the original heat shield. So that is fairly cool. So if that was original, the footplate's original. It doesn't surprise me considering there's a big lump broke out of it there. But it's fairly cool to know that these are most likely the original ones that came out from the factory. I think that's fairly cool. Anyway, one little present I got for Christmas from my brother is an Stolian Biog Shot. This should be handy enough. Little tool tray there as well, so we can sit on that now and see is it any good. It would be a little better if it was adjustable, I'd say, in height, but no, we'll work on it. So what we'll do is we'll take out the points that are in there and we'll fit the new points, check it for spark after we set the gap, and might give it a start. It's Baltic in this country at the moment. We're going through a fairly cold snap. It's not above freezing all day. And since I'm pointing the camera at it, another little project that I'm hoping to do is to fit new tyres and tubes to these rims and clean up these centres for my Ferguson 20 diesel over here. These are Fords and Dexta wheels that were thrown in when I bought the tractor, and I went and put them tyres on them, and they never really beaded out fully. So another YouTube member called, I think it was Metamorphic Wonders, he pulled a 20 diesel out of a field that was left there for a long time, and he commented just saying, would you mind spending a bit of time just to talk about wheels and tyres? Well, I'm no expert on them, to be honest with you. I just know, if I'm not mistaken, that the Ferguson's 20s with the standard engine, the petrol TVO and diesels, came with 11.2 by 28 tyres as standard. I think later on in production, the wider front wheels, like on the 35, were available as an optional extra, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, I know they were available. I don't know whether 12.4s, like what's on the Gold Belly here, ever available as an optional extra for the 20 diesel. That I could not tell you. But when I was buying tyres for my other 20 diesel at home in Kildare, I couldn't get 11.2s, so I put 12.4s on it. And it definitely did fill up the mudguard a little bit there, and it did kind of make it probably slightly faster on the road and all that. And I was 15 years of age, I wasn't going to go complaining about that. So I think because the owner of this tractor before me fitted these skins a little bit high, he didn't sit them down far enough, as they should be. I think if you look at the Gold Belly here, you'll see that they're a little bit more flush with the rear axle. Because of that, I think it looks a bit stupid with them being so high, so I am going to fit 12.4s on those rims, and I have some interest in buying these wheels and tyres as is. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get things a little bit more correct. The dishes should not have, in the Ferguson 20, have any holes in them for like wheel weights, like the 3 holes that are in these. They were on later tractors, so it's just a little detail I want to get right. I went for new rims as well because I want to tidy this up a little bit. These rims aren't bad, but any second-hand rims I saw were destroyed with tyre levers, and I remember changing the tyres on the Ferguson Major home with my dad when we got punctures. I mean, you've no choice but to start levering the hell out of them and bait in angle irons. So that's what's going to be happening with this tractor, and it should fill up that gap there. I think it looks a bit stupid, like the Gold Belly here, it definitely looks a little bit better there, you know, when the mudguard just sits just nicely above it, whereas you look at the 20 diesel over there, it looks like the wheel is lost there, the mudguard. So that's my plan for that. Purists mightn't like it. If 12.4s on the rear weren't an optional extra, the purist will probably be shaking their head at this point. But if the mudguards were fitted down a bit, I'd probably leave them on. But again, I'd probably just change the wheels. Yeah, so that's just a little plan with that. It's something that was annoying me. Yes, so that was that. Interesting about that. Tashishin Simul. So we've this coming from old 20 parts heat shield, so we'll finish the video series on that. I think there's 3 up already on the underslung. And of course we always have the option of the exhaust, the Hagen and Knees, that comes up as just as we do for the gold belly here. We have this lovely old exhaust there. And that has Burgess written on it somewhere, so I think it's probably the factory one. So we'll set up the tripod, we'll whip this cap off and get in there, pull out the points, and we'll get the new ones fitted. Okay, so one Lucas D3 A4 distributor. We've seen this insides of this plenty in this video series, this playlist. So off with a rotor arm that came from the distributor doctor in UK, because a lot of the aftermarket ones you get here in this country are pure dung. So what I do with these first is, jeez, it gets a fair grip of it when it's cold. A second, maybe it'll be easier to wind this off here. I'll just make a bit of space here so we can see what's going on. Now I'll slap it in behind the taco cable there. Sound like a truck driver. Okay, so get this to focus there. I usually like to loosen that off first. Lovely brass nuts. Just don't see them anymore. Apart from some electrical plugs and sockets and connections, maybe I might see the odd one. Back in the day, they were nearly standard. So we just have to loosen these off. This acts as a lock nut, this one here. Loosen the inside one. Probably won't have to go taking the whole thing out. Just give it a little loosen. I think these are, if I'm not mistaken, I probably mentioned it before, Joseph Lucas, Birmingham, was it in England? Was it Birmingham? He had some square sizes on things, I can tell you sometimes. I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, an 11/32 Imperial. But I know, always remember, this particular nut seems to be smaller than the other two. Slightly. Maybe it's down to wear, I don't know. There we are. So we're loosening that off. That wasn't tight enough, I don't think. As much as I tried to tighten the hell out of it the last few times. This stool that I'm on is definitely a little bit too low. So we're looking in there. Yeah, you're probably asking, why is there a green wire there going to that to earth it? The previous owner or someone in the past stripped the threads that are meant to hold that bracket on a condenser down. It's a very old Lucas condenser we put in there. I put in there lately to see if it would work. It's probably predates the tractor, I'd say, being honest. So we can take that up out of the way, get the snouty pliers. We don't actually have to move the points yet. We have to take off our two screw bolts, and you can use your Lucas points gap tool here. I got this on eBay. It's a handy little thing, and it's nice to put on your key as well. It's just a little bit it's period correct. I presume these would have been I don't know, would have been given out with things maybe years ago. So I'm going to tighten that in again one more time actually. Just thinking here now. I do like to, or doesn't matter. I might just bring the engine over to fire and stroke on number 1. I might just put this, I might just do that. What are we on there now? We're nearly coming up to it by the looks of things. I might just put the starting handle into it and give it a wind over and slap the screwdriver in under the starter there. And that should line me up then with the fire and stroke. So I'll just go and get the screwdriver and the starting handle and we'll come back. Okay, so I actually, just as I was walking over to get the screwdriver, I realised I don't actually, that's only from setting the timing. I'm very happy with how the timing is set on it. So all I want to do is just turn the distributor till it's on the points are opening, and that will make it a lot easier. Setting the point gap. There we are. Simple as that. That's all I wanted to do. So I don't want to twist the distributor and affect where I have set the time. I could do that, but I think I have that in a load of videos on here already anyway. I used the time and light to do that. So, okay, now we're ready to get our Lucas tool and take out our points. Okay. I was going to bring up the work lamp here to give us a bit better light. Actually, I'll lift up the bonnet, I think that helps. But I find that all it does is just, it's okay when it's shining up from the ground, but it's too awkward to use it to try and shine down. Okay. So that's probably a little bit better light in there, yeah. It's crazy, like I have the car parked in there and I would not have a clue how to go about setting the timer and that. I'd say it's probably all done by computer. As much as I have the VAGCOM program there for the laptop. If it wasn't for videos like YouTube showing me how to do anything on it, I would probably have destroyed the ECU in the car. So I suppose that's one of the reasons why I put these videos up on YouTube. Not that I'm any expert now at all. If they help anyone else and maybe encourage them to give it a go themselves, well, that's good enough for me. You can probably see my breath here in the videos. It's Baltic. But a man needs his vintage fix. So now we're ready to pick up, pull that up. So as you can see there, I'll get it just to focus. These were well burnt. Oh, come on, focus. Yeah, can you see that now? Yeah. So look at the other one there. So what you get on pints is you get a pile on one of them and you get a hole in the other, and that's from the power jumping across. When these open and you have the power coming into the distributor from the primary coil, it's a lower voltage, we'll say lower current, but still it has to jump across the points, and what it does is it brings the electrons, I think they're negatively charged. That's why they had these wired positive earth. They like to, I'm right in saying that, yeah. But with a negative earth, you've positive jumping to ground, to negative. So you've positive energy jumping, and that will deposit little bits of electron, whatever they bring, obviously. Whatever stuff they bring, material they bring. But I've cleaned these regularly, and they're just too pitted. So I think with this particular one, I had to fit 2 insulating washers. I felt they were a little bit low, even though they're genuine. You'll probably see how genuine they are now in a minute when I take up this. I might need a little pick. I'll just get a pick and have it handy just to pick up that. Okay, so you don't need much tools for this, but I suppose this kind of a pick is handy. Okay, now I'll try and get this to focus on here now. So this is the one that leaves the hole. The hole is in it, the little, wow. It's actually hollow, like. It is scratching off it. My God, for pints that I have cleaned regularly, like Lonmishi Eve Gominic, like they're dirty enough. Anyway, nice. Lucas England, so they're definitely, they were definitely originals, but we'll be keeping them. So let's have a quick look in here. What I do like to do, I'm just going to get it and come back, is I like to have a little look down in there on those springs that are on this part of the distributor can actually turn it's meant to turn unless we're on it's usually able to turn. Kind of it advances the time in order to, yeah. So if you look down here, there's the top of this is loose, and it's got weights down there, and the faster the distributor turns, the more they go out. Centrifugal force, I think it is, and it actually changes where this would be. This shaft here, it'll be either further back than it should be or further forward, depending on the revs. So it seems a little bit stiff. It's normally a lot. Maybe it's just where it is on the firing stroke, maybe, I don't know. We'll have a look at that anyway. Maybe it's that wedging it there because it's loose. Maybe that was wedging behind it. There we are. That's all it was. So we want to get down there, and I like to just keep it cleaned out. You can just probably see the little bit of get the torch here, a bit of a spring there, just a little head of it there, just where it catches it there now. So I like to keep all that just sprayed and loose, and every I suppose couple of months, 2 or 3 squirts of oil down there, and that keeps the bearing. This particular distributor is in really good nick. There's very, 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 very little wear in any of the bearing there. The bushing I can't say because it's way down, but the bearing seems to be very good. Yeah, so I'll just go and give that a spray, and we'll come back and I'll show you when I'm doing it. I don't really know if I should be spraying grease on it. I do have spray grease. I think it's probably too heavy. But every now and again I just give it a dart of WD. Whether that's the right thing to do or wrong, but I can tell you one thing, it's definitely not going to go do it any harm. That's all I do, just with that. Some people are probably shouting at the screen going, Jesus no, you should be putting oil on it, Jesus no, you should be putting spray grease on it. I don't know about spray grease. I think it probably would affect the weight. That spray grease gets fairly thick when it kind of sets, so I don't know. So I have all of the points plate there very, very clean, cleaned down before, but I'm going to get some sandpaper quickly and show you where you would clean if it's not. Because this connection under your points here, this is going to be where it hurts, and if it can't hurt, I can't spark at the points. So give it a good clean up there. Vitally important that it can hurt. This side here is actually insulated with a washer, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, lovely. So our new 407050 points are here. We have one insulated washer. We'll just see how this works. If, as I said, the last set I needed to put another one on it as well. So this is the positive side, so it's not just meant to earth there. We want it to earth through the points, so that's why it has its insulating lad on it there. I am hoping these are the right points. When I bought them it said 407050 on the ad, and it seems to have some kind of more modern part number on it, so I'm hoping they are right. We will know fairly soon, so we will. There's a fair bloody spring in it, I can tell you that much for nothing, compared to the old ones. I suppose you kind of, that's not very surprising, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, so I'm after going and doing that wrong, aren't I? That's the one you put on afterwards, but it's no harm, we were just checking it out. Right. think, wasn't I right in saying that? Yeah. Okay, so that goes on there. Right in saying this one. Too much talking. That goes on there, that's the earth side. Then we put on our washer, fibre washer. If we actually want it, we can go and put back in our two I call them screw balls. I don't know, is that the right term for them at all? Okay. So these have a little wider washer and a spring washer. Okay. So that's it for the hen. And then number 2 is over here. Yeah. These are kind of brass as well when you actually look at them. You can just see the little touch of brass. Maybe they're coated metal. Now, you do need slim fingers for this now, because the bolts are just so short, and you have 2 washers to try and keep track of. Washers that could fall down behind that pints plate very easy, and then you have to go taking off more stuff. But we'll get there. We've had to do worse. We've had to do harder things in this shed here. And put a bolt through a set of pints. So I'll get our Lucas key, if it's alright, yeah. Have that ready to go. It's just a matter of just to get it started with the finger. Yeah, there we go. I think it's getting fairly bloody tight. No, we're golden. Okay, so that's able to move for wider and narrower pint gap. So we'll push that up out of the way. You want me to turn a piece with the second bit. Give them a bend roughly where we want them to go. It's starting to look like it's the right set of pints anyway. By Jesus, I wonder there's a fair difference in the spring in this set of pints than what I took out. She is strong compared to the other one. No harm. And I put that in front of this little connector here for the condenser, because the spring of that, the pressure of that is keeping everything there as well. It's just handy when you're putting it together to have that sort of a strength of a spring. And as far as height goes, thankfully with this set, it doesn't look like we have to go putting another fibre washer underneath it like we had to with the last ones. That's said, yeah, no, it is pushed down enough, so. Okay, a thumbs sauce to a shin. Fairly happy with that. Everything's still loose, as we would expect. We are just about on the high point of the cam there. Yeah, so we'll be able to adjust the pints gap. I sometimes strangely find having a little bit wider seems to be what this tractor prefers, but for this particular video we're just going to set it to the 16 thou that they kind of recommend in the workshop manual, but that's of course is when your distributor is brand new and all the bushings and bearings are perfect and there's no wobbling around on this shaft. There doesn't seem to be much wobbling or any wobbling that I can feel in this shaft, thankfully. Okay, so that's too tight, so we have to be able to now some people probably put this exactly on the high point of the cam, I always like to just turn it up to it. I like to just make sure and go past it and actually see the points gap starting to close again, so I can actually figure out exactly where it dwells. And it seems to dwell about there. Stay open like for a little bit. So that's too tight because struggling to get it in. I'd like to go a touch more. It's a bit too loose. Yeah, that's starting to feel good to me. That's exactly why they call it a feeler gauge. You have to feel it. I suppose there's a certain amount of, how do we put it? You kind of learn over time what feels right, as in how much drag. You don't want to be pushing this into too narrow points because you'll only end up opening them yourself. So they're just a touching more than 16 thou, I would say. Bring it up to where it's meant to be. No, that's a snug 16 thou. That's about right. You know, nip them up. They don't have to be crazy tight. Bit of a nip, especially considering this tool was meant to be good enough to do the trick. So that's the case. We don't have to go crazy. All the metal's cleaned up and all of that. So now when I'm tightening this, I just like to make sure that everything stays put in there. Pulls it nice and level. Okay. No need for any sockets. Just to feel it with your hand. These were all cleaned up, polished up with a bit of sandpaper regularly recently. So they're good just to spin back on. I think these ones are just the tiniest hair bigger. These are actually, I think, are they 11-30 seconds? Yeah. That one on the inside was always a bit smaller. Okay, so that's our lock nut done. I like to put a brass washer, and in fairness to the previous owners of this tractor, all these brass washers and everything were still on here. So someone had bothered to put them back. I thought that was good anyway. Okay. Now, and at the very front there is a spring washer. That just keeps everything nice and snug. It's a genuine original Lucas spring washer with kind of little perforation, not even, but kind of loads of little kind of lines in it to help get a grip. So a little wiggle there and make sure everything is good. And we should be good to go. So what we'll do is we'll get a turn on ignition. We'll have to just turn the engine first. So we'll turn the engine to get it off that cam on the flat with the points closed, and we'll give them a flick and see if we have spark. Right, so we'll bonus back down. It'll make it a bit darker in there. Ignition is on. I'm just going to give this a quick little flick. Hopefully you'll see in the dark. So if I move my hand, it would help. Never comes out well on the camera. The camera needs to be a bit higher and looking down, but yes, we have spark. It's good blue. A good blue spark. So that's brilliant. So we'll put it back together and we'll try it for a start. So as far as the oiling goes, what I do is just throw, prime it first to get, there we go, there's one good squirt gone down there. Just watch it. If that's all it needs, because it got some regular lately. It's a nice little can for it. It's Wesco, Birmingham, England. Same place the Lucas stuff is made, if I'm not mistaken. So that's actually full there. No need to go over the top because it will come down onto your points. And then I like to just put a bit of grease on that. So I'll just take my finger here and just put a slight bit on it, because again, you don't want this flying all over the place. That's probably enough because there is some on it already. So just a small little bit, just to reduce the friction, because you don't want that plastic tab wearing. That wears, your points aren't going to go opening as much as they should. So that's all okay. We put on our top cover. I like to just put a little bit of greasing around that as well. It helps seal the moisture out. There's kind of a bit of clothy kind of stuff in there. So just a little rub in there, especially this time of year. It helps seal off your points like that. Okay. Rotor arm. Make sure he's good and clean there. We have a bit of sandpaper there, I'm sure we do. Just give him a little rub. Little rub. Just for the okay, so that's good. It's generally fairly well maintained, this, when it comes to this stuff. It's always worth as well having a quick look in your distributor cap, especially this time of year. This is an old one with the brass connections. I find them good. Make sure you have your carbon brush there. Okay, give it a look. And if you want to give them a bit of a clean, you can do that as well. A bit of sandpaper. I've given them a clean there not too long ago. Little scratch or two. Just run around. The brass is nice. The modern aftermarket ones have kind of aluminium. Builds up a kind of a white dusty scum very quickly. So I prefer to, I quickly binned that, or not, didn't bin it, I threw it into the drawer over there. So I fit back your distributor cap. I like to fit it down nice and straight, because I have that, what you want to get that carbon brush on top of the rotor arm. Okay, and you can obviously take off all of these connections here, make sure they're clean. These are ones I made myself, so there's a snot of solder on the end of them. I did take them all off lately, give them a clean up. I put plenty of solder on them so that I can go give them a scratch of sandpaper. Okay, all the rest of them are checked lately, so that's just to give you an idea of what I do. It's not saying it's the be all and end all and the 100% correct way of doing it probably, I don't know, but clean them up anyway. Check them. Check all your connections. Bit of a wiggle test. Coming in, coming out, going into the distributor. Make sure nothing's hurting. Okay, so Shin A, pointy Nua. New points. So what I'm going to do with this is going to be a cold start. What I've noticed with this particular engine is, lately I've been starting it every evening just for 2 or 3 minutes even. It's very noisy, it's spitty, it's farty until it gets off the choke. So Don't know, maybe it's down to a tuning issue. I think I have the main jet set fairly right at 1.5 turns out. It seems to be the sweet spot. In this weather, yeah, you'd want to be at least 1.5 turns, there's no doubt about it. Because the cold weather is definitely making it more hungry for fuel. So I'll throw some petrol in it and we'll try a first start. Okay, budem met 3 laat je woeskelt nish. We'll try now just to wake her up. Fuel on, petrol on. As I said, this is normally very noisy and spitty and farty lately when it starts. I have seen some videos on YouTube where people are in Sweden and Norway and countries like that where it's very cold in the winter. They use these and the Ferguson petrols and TVOs and they start up, no bother at all. But this one definitely isn't mad about the cold weather. And as I said, it's probably down to my tuning. But I definitely have it, yeah, it's a good turn and a half there on the main jet. So. Right, choke, ignition. Wow, that was better than the last few evenings. I was normally struggling. That's impressive now. Definitely firing on all cylinders. Yeah, that was worth doing that. He's not missing a beat. Well, there you go. So you can clean them all you want. When the pints get dirty and worn, she ain't gonna run like that. So, very, very cheap part, and one that's after making a massive difference. The last few evenings this thing was shooting out the back of the exhaust and it started like a shotgun. So definitely worth doing. So that's the video on replacing the points, setting the gap. I have plenty of videos on doing the timing, checking the timing and all of that. And I was happy that the timing set bang on with the timing light, so I didn't go and do that again. So there you go, shin on scale. So we'll catch you in the next one.